Hello, everybody, and welcome to the sixth edition of the Weekend Dads Fantasy Podcast. We are here. I'm Jason, and we are here with Mark and Blake, three victors from last week's week one of the NFL season. Um, Mark, how does it
Yep.
feel to get that tight win week one?
Uh, you know, it was a tough one. I was sweating a little bit. Jared Judy got some bullshit catches, and we toughed it out. Proud of my whole squad. I don't know what I would do without them. My guys.
Yeah, I mean,
You get your guys.
you ran pretty good on some Jerry Judy drops. We'll talk about it a little more in a second. Blake, the running back factory, 100 a week high, 55 points. You feeling good, Blake? This is the best start you've ever had.
I mean, I think Austin went into the week and he thought he was going to have a good week and he thought he was having a good week. And then he ran into a buzzsaw and he just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
But
hey,
we
the
just
factory, when the factory's up and running, it's hard to take down.
the factory's just got to keep pushing out the running backs, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I beat Colin 133 to 131. Jimmy beat Trevor 153 to 123. Dustin beat Zayd in the highest scoring matchup 108 to 93.
Damn.
Blake beat Austin 155, 138, and then Mark squeezed out a win against Eric last night 108 to 107. One more catch I think would have done it for you, Mark. So those are the ones that matter, getting those close wins at the end. So we're going to dive in each matchup a little bit by bit and just kind of talk some thoughts on the week. We're going to kick it off with Jimmy and Trevor. There's a lot of action on this game. A lot of people get money down on both sides from what I remember. But Jimmy never seemed to be letting up. What were you guys thinking of Jimmy's team coming in? Do you think Jimmy had a good squad going against Trevor, the 2003 champion?
I think Jimmy had some of the best keepers, and I think the rest of his team or his starters will not be there in like 5 weeks. I mean, Bell's already on the IR. John Brown, I don't know. AJ Green looked horrendous.
I mean, AJ Green almost had a touchdown catch there at the end.
And so did DeAndre Swift.
I think AJ Green was a little closer than Swift.
I don't think you can get any closer than Swift.
I mean, AJ Green caught it at least. He was pushed off. But yeah, Jimmy was led by Devontae Adams, his keeper, 35.6 points. Ezekiel Elliott, 26.2. He had a good flex play in John Brown, 16 points. I think he scored a touchdown and had 8 other catches. I mean, Trevor's team, man, it looked good coming into the year in some people's minds, but we got 2.9 from Mark Ingram, 3.2 from Michael Thomas, 3.1 from Odell, 3 points from the Titans D. I don't know why you're playing a road defense week one. I mean, what do you guys see any errors on any of these lineups kind of coming into this week?
I just see. Oh, there you go.
Trevor was kind of demolished by the Michael Thomas injury and just a lack of, well, I guess they didn't have the injury at the end of the game, just the lack of production, because that was basically a staple for him last year. He didn't get, Mark Ingram play, any Michael Thomas play. His presumed ace in the hole, Odell Beckham Jr., he just didn't show up. Just a really rough week all around for him.
Right? Is it a shitty game or is it just who he is now?
I think he's a little better than 3.7 points, but I know trade rumors are out there, so we'll see. Maybe that's best for him. But yeah, I mean, Michael Thomas having probably his worst career game, especially at home, was probably unexpected from most Michael Thomas owners. Mark Ingram, a little unlucky with some J.K. Dobbins touchdowns and getting the red zone carries. But he had Melvin Gordon, who is going to be looking on the up now that Phillip Lindsay's banged up. So he's going to be rolling with probably Derrick Henry, Melvin Gordon for this week. On his bench, we got Jamison Crowder for Trevor, who, I mean, he's done what we've hoped he's going to do for the last couple of years. How are you guys feeling on Jamison Crowder going forward? Is he a guy you're wanting to start?
No.
Yeah, I don't know if I want any of the Jets at this point.
Jets are a dumpster fire, and Crowder can get injured at any snap.
I mean, as long as he's healthy, though, there's like he's getting at least 10 targets a
Oh,
week
he's
with
got the
like the
volume
upside
if
of
he's
like
healthy.
20.
Yeah.
And if he gets touchdowns, like that's all he needs. But he's gonna have a high floor, I think, of targets. He's probably a pretty easy start. A good thing is for Trevor, Juju was what expected. 2 touchdowns on 6 targets, 21.9 half PPR points. I think he took Juju in the third. What are you guys thinking about Juju going forward? You guys liking some Juju?
Mm,
I thought he looked good. Him and Big Ben seemed to have a good connection. He had a lot of throws going his way. The Steelers' offense looked a little shaky off the bat, but they started to get going. Sadly, after James Conner was injured, but they were able to kind of get going, and Juju was looked at basically a lot. It looks like in the red zone and just doing his Juju stuff back in the slot.
Yeah, he looked like 2 years ago, Juju. So good to see him back healthy.
I don't know. I kind of want to see him do that against a better defense.
I thought the Giants didn't look that bad, and it could have been the Steelers just started out poorly, but I thought they were looked decent on defense. I thought Daniel Jones looked pretty good from the start. Do you guys have the same thoughts, or am I off the grain there?
Yeah, I don't know if it was the Steelers' offensive line seemed to get off to a slow start. I don't know if it was the offensive line or the Giants' D line was playing amazing, but I mean the Steelers' O line, it's like they weren't getting Big Ben much time in the pocket, and they couldn't get any push to get the running game actually going, and it was just really causing that slow start. Towards the end of the
Didn't
game,
Benny
they
Snell
start, huh?
didn't Benny Snell have like 120 yards on like
I
8
mean,
carries?
towards the end of the game, yeah,
Okay.
they got going.
Yeah, Benny Snell looked very good, and I mean he's on waivers in our league, I believe. So probably going to see some high fab coming out week 1 for some of these running back needy teams, and Jimmy might be a prime candidate for be a big spender. I mean he's got Zeke and Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell's going to go on IR for a little bit, and I don't really see him having a long-term fantasy relevant role in this offense after what it looked from the beginning of the game yesterday.
Do you think the factory might try to pick him up?
I mean the factory is going to keep churning, so.
I've heard rumors that the
possible.
factory doesn't want him just because James Conner will keep getting put in and taking away snaps and then get hurt at about halftime.
Connor will get the big one. Don't worry.
Yeah. I mean, Jimmy had Sammy Watkins on his bench, 18 points. He looked like Sammy Watkins of expectations. I think they have 2 touchdowns or just one. I think just one.
One with a ton of yards.
Yeah, he had a lot of catches, a lot of targets. But he did this last year, so we'll see if.
It's not his like week 1, week 2
How
kind
about
of thing.
Yeah,
how about Kyler Murray against that 49ers defense?
That man feared nothing.
I mean, the thing I was big on before the season was the 49ers defense was not going to be as good as they were last year, and it certainly looked that way. They didn't have the offense flowing as normal either, but I don't really understand Kyler Murray because he just runs around with these short little strides, but he's moving very fast, and it just doesn't like compute in my head that he's like running that fast as he is.
And those baseball slides, they look so good. He isn't going to pull a Teddy Bridgewater.
He draws so many like late hits, like probably the same amount as Cam, but he's actually getting the calls from what I could tell the other day. Every time he slides, it's like a player's just like diving on top of him. So
he's so tiny.
I don't know.
He gets to the ground much quicker than Cam.
But yeah, I mean Jimmy, other than Adam scoring 100 points, AJ Brown and AJ Green, the AJ squad for Jimmy, did not produce what was expected. I think both had a touchdown they probably should have caught. AJ Brown for the game-winning catch. He probably should have caught that ball.
Yeah.
AJ Green got one called back last second. I mean, what's your favorite receivers on Jimmy's team? It's Adams, and then like what's your best outlook for like the future? Because he also has Sutton on his bench who didn't play.
I think Brown's gonna pull together. I think he'll be fine.
I mean, I think AJ Green, honestly, too, is as long as he can stay healthy. I mean, Joe Burrow, like he looked like a rookie, but he was at least getting the ball out. He didn't look completely incompetent throwing the ball everywhere. And I think he'll have to lean on the veteran AJ Green to kind of get the ball as a safety blanket. So I think he could honestly have a pretty good, solid year. Probably not anything crazy, but at least wide receiver, 2 or something.
I mean, if he's healthy, he's going to be consistent. He's going to get the volume, the safety
Yeah.
catches, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jimmy's got a good squad. He's going to have to put some bandages on his running back core, I think, pretty quickly.
He's got Breida.
Breida didn't. He was the fourth back in the committee, surprisingly. And then I didn't watch much Patriots. I'm not sure about James White, what his actions were last week.
He's the running back 2 behind Cam.
I mean, he's probably lower than that. He was. I don't know if Sony was in more. They still got going to bring back Harris and probably mix him in. So, but yeah, I think that's a wrap for this matchup. Kind of went as expected, I think, from most coming in.
Trevor would
we'll
disagree.
move on, huh?
Trevor would disagree.
He might. We'll move on to Dustin and Zaid. Dustin 108 to Zaid's 93, and I mean across both teams, kind of lackluster performances overall. Dustin was carried by Josh Allen, 29 points. Josh Allen looked pretty good, I thought, yesterday, but only other offensive player over 10 points was Kareem Hunt and Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake, I think, got a late touchdown to kind of bail out a rough day. DJ Moore, 7.4. Jarvis Landry, 8.6. Gronk, 2.1. I mean, Dustin got the win, but what are you guys thinking of the squad?
I think DJ Moore needs more volume. And I'm shocked that Keenan Allen only had 5.7 points.
I mean, are you shocked though? It's just like not like what I'm shocked that it was only 5.7 because I feel like he was involved a little bit more, but I didn't think this Chargers team was going to be like moving the ball that much. Like they played very slow.
I mean, I get that, but the Bills played slow with Tyrod, and Sammy Watkins always had great games.
Did he though?
Did he not? I mean, he was only healthy for like 9 games over like 3 years, but
yeah,
I feel like he was good in those 9 games.
Did you guys watch any Rob Gronkowski?
Absolutely not.
No, did you watch him play?
No, I forgot he was there.
No, I mean, they threw it like a third down, like 3rd and 7 screen pass to him, and I've just never seen an NFL player run as slowly as Rob Gronkowski ran to get 2 yards on that play. Jesus. It was like shocking, but I think Gronk was good for blocking. Like he's a good pass blocker still, so he has that value. But it seemed like OJ Howard was the guy running more routes.
That was my fear coming in this season, is that Gronk was. I mean, he's been out of football for 2 years now, so
yeah.
And training camp videos and stuff, he did look a little slow. And OJ Howard, he's always been a better pass catcher, but he was used in the running game or just not used at all because he wasn't great at blocking. But now that they got Gronk, who was a great run blocker, OJ Howard can finally be unleashed if Brady can get him the ball.
I mean, the good news for Dustin's squad is Noah Fant looked pretty good in that first half. I'm not sure. The second half, I don't feel like he got many targets, but I mean, he looked pretty explosive for a tight end and got, I think, 5 catches in the long touchdown, 16.6 points. So I still think he'll be okay at tight end or at tight end for Dustin. Mike Evans also was hurt and he had to bench him last second. Landry is limited on snaps. Saquon, I think, had 6 yards. There was FanDuel gave like a free bet, like a +100 bet that Saquon would get over 9 yards rushing, just kind of as like a promotion to get people to like use their site, and he did not get there. So people are doing a max bet of $50 just to get going and did not get the free money. So that's how bad of a game Barkley had.
Or is FanDuel like that good?
That they put a line at 9 at even money for the best running back.
Yeah.
But so Zaid was coming after me saying I drafted the worst team I ever have drafted, if I remember the quotes correctly.
Wow, it's a big.
It's a big take, and I'm gonna throw it right back at him. Is this the worst team Zaid's ever drafted?
Probably. I mean, I love Aaron Jones, but I don't think Cooper's the guy anymore. I don't think Tyler Boyd's gonna be the guy. Marvin Jones is super streaky. Evan Ingram's gonna die. Marlon Mack did die. I mean, I don't know what upside this team has in any capacity.
I'm very surprised that Marvin Jones only had like 55 yards with Galladay out. Because you kind of think like with Galladay just being kind of pretty late, he was taken out. That Matt Stafford would have relied then on Marvin, but he just didn't seem to care.
Yeah,
Mac,
it felt
I think
like
he
the
got a little
easiest play of
unlucky
the
with.
week. What was that, Blake?
I think he got a little unlucky with like Marlon Mack, say getting injured because he was basically proclaimed a starter, got hurt pretty early, and that just kind of took him out and
Yeah, I mean,
kind of killed
I'll
him
certainly
for Zayd.
take. Yeah, I mean, Marlon Mack honestly looked like pretty good that first quarter until he got hurt, and some Jonathan Taylor owners are probably a little lucky that it was gonna take longer than I probably was expecting for him to take over from Mack, and I don't know if they're getting out of a timeshare this year if he was that productive. Um, but even though he had an off week, he had a chance to win. I think on Monday night, Evan Ingram 1.9 points. Mark, what'd you think of Ingram last night? I expected him to be pretty locked in top tight end this year, but it didn't seem
He
like
got
he was
the
making a lot of drops.
he got the looks. I mean, he had a end zone target which he was wide open, and the ball was thrown a little behind him, but he still should have caught it because he had his hand on it. And then I think it was for a first down. It was just like up the field, like a 10-yard route. He just completely dropped the ball.
I think Zayd's saving grace with his team is Leonard Fournette being like rookie Leonard Fournette that was actually good with the bad ankle.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette with the 5 for 5 yesterday or on Sunday, 2.4 fantasy points. I think he had a decent like 10-yard catch or something like that. Is Leonard Fournette starting this year, Blake, or is it all Ronald Jones?
I think he might eventually get in. I mean, we can take a second here and ask Zayd real quick and see what he thinks.
I reckon.
All right. Well, it appears he thinks that Leonard Fournette will be starting. So we'll see how that works out for him.
I mean, no surprise of Zayd's take there. I'm glad to have you in the chat, Zayd.
I do think Fournette's going to start getting some passing work eventually.
I mean, is he though? Because Ronald Jones like actually looked like he was a good pass catcher yesterday the other day. I mean, the Saints have the best run D in the league, so like him having an off game is like normal against the Saints.
Do the Saints have the best run D?
They did last year.
Does Tampa not?
They didn't yesterday. They didn't on Sunday. I mean, yeah. I mean, Fournette just whenever he got the ball looked like he was running with like a piano, when like Ronald Jones looked like he had a rocket ship. So
I mean,
I'm still on the.
Fournette didn't have a camp. He didn't have a camp.
He had a camp. He did a camp. It's not
It's a
like he
different
just got off
team,
the
but-
couch. He was cut and had a day off, or he probably worked out.
He didn't have a camp.
I mean, he only had to drive like 4 or 5 hours anyway. So
Yeah, he didn't even leave the state.
You know, travel. They always talk about travel.
Yeah, it's tough. Long car ride.
time
Probably
change, so
flew
you know.
private. Out.
Probably flew private.
I mean, Zayd's probably hurting the most over Greg Zerline. 5 points, couple. I think he had a missed field goal,
He did.
and that's Zayd's guy. I've never seen Zayd without Greg Zerline, so
It was a revenge game, too.
yeah, didn't show up.
Hate to see it.
But yeah, I think that'll wrap up these teams. I think a lot of work to do if we're going to see a playoff push out of either of these squads.
I think Zayd's team might be already done.
Hey, you never know.
I kind of know.
Got to get Debo back, and then that'll help.
We'll see how he does with Debo.
Not really got to stay healthy. I don't.
Zayd has
I don't
an empty
need it.
bench spot. What are you doing, Zayd?
I mean, Debo was ruled out last minute. Now he's on IR, and they signed Sanu. So maybe Zayd gets Sanu, and that unlocks his team.
He seems like a big Sanu guy.
He is the biggest Sanu guy I know. But Blake, you want to recap your victory for us here over Austin? 155 points, highest score in the league. You want to run through this real quick?
Oh, yes, I do. So, I mean, my team just blew up, if I'm being honest. Started Thursday with CEH and Will Fuller. I mean, I put Fuller in there just with the hopes that he would get some targets. It looked like he was getting, I think he was, third on the week in target share. He probably had like 5 or 6 drops, but ended up with a good 16 points. Was able to plug him in for Galladay because I was just so afraid that Galladay was going to miss and I was going to be kind of screwed with Sanders hurt and didn't know if Montgomery was going to play all that. So CH had a great game. I subbed in Matt Ryan for Cam just out of thoughts that Cam was a little bit more riskier. I didn't know how he was going to do. And I got a little nervous there in the first half when Matt Ryan had, I think, single-digit points and the Falcons were just getting stomped on by the Seahawks. But he ended up with a good game after throwing for like 300 yards or something in the second half. And basically, they had, 3 100-yard receivers. So this is one of the first years I think I've ever had a quarterback wide receiver stack, and it was very satisfying watching a touchdown pass to Calvin Ridley from Matt Ryan. I was like, oh, yeah. But, I mean, yeah, Mark Andrews looked great, still being targeted a lot by Lamar Jackson. Joey Sly got plenty of kicks. I mean, I don't know if I'm ever going to have a week this good, if I'm being honest, the rest of the season. I hope I keep doing it. But everyone just seemed to hit other than Montgomery, but I think that could be kind of expected.
So you got to bring
Connor.
it up, Blake. You coined the team the RBBBB factory, and since you've coined it that, we've had a David Montgomery groin injury, a Miles Sanders out week 1, Golden Tate hurt week 1, Kenny Galladay hurt week 1, and now we have lost James Conner. What happened to the factory?
Him. The light is still on, per Mike Tomlin, but
yeah,
this isn't the first time this has happened to me, and this is why I like to get a lot of running backs, just because it seems my guys like to get hurt. So,
do you think they like to?
So how many running backs do you have now that are healthy?
Is it 3, 2?
2.
Do you count David Montgomery?
2.5.
No, I don't. I'm counting Malcolm Brown.
2.5.
God,
I think
CH.
Sanders is going to be back. So I know Mark's just crossing his fingers and praying that CH stays healthy and isn't cursed. So
He's cursed.
I mean, could there be a worse team in our league for Will Fuller to be on right now?
No, I mean,
that's the one that's going down quick.
well, hopefully Galladay comes back in time to be able to sub in for
Chris Godwin
Fuller
after
when
he
it
turns
does
his
happen.
ankle. Yeah.
Hey, it
Yeah,
seemed to
but-
miss me in that game. It hit Michael Thomas, so we good.
Yeah. I think Matt Ryan threw for like 450 yards, had 3 receivers with over 10 targets and 100 yards. Ridley's always been the man touchdown wise though for them. So
How did the
I was
Falcons?
excited to see. Huh?
How do the Falcons produce offensively so much and always lose?
It's always when they're down like 21-3 and they just start chucking the ball because they remember they were good.
Yeah, that's the best like fantasy
Oh,
team you can wish for.
and they threw for. How do you throw for 450 yards and only score 25 points?
You're the Falcons.
Because
Or the Rams. Rams or the Falcons. Those are the 2 teams that do that.
It's just nuts.
Did he have a lot of turnovers or something?
Oh, well, I think he only had 1 interception.
He only had 1 interception. I don't know if they had fumbles or not. I really don't know. I didn't watch the game enough. I just was watching on Red Zone. I saw them scoring and getting big plays, but they seem to not turn it into points. So
Sounds about right.
Yeah, maybe they had some missed field goals or something, but that's the Falcons in a nutshell, I'd say. But yeah, Mark Andrews, I think, ran a lot more routes than he did last year, so probably a lot of upside for Andrews being the overall tight end 1 this year is kind of what I thought from the first week, as long as he can stay healthy.
Yeah, Andrews looks good.
And then, Chris Godwin, it took me a solid 2 quarters to realize Chris Godwin was Chris Godwin because he switched numbers, and I just wasn't used to like the number 14 being Chris Godwin on the Bucks. At one point, I was just like, "Who is this guy that looks like Chris Godwin?" And I was like, "Oh, Tom Brady took his number."
Thought it was Scotty Miller for a minute.
I didn't think it was Scotty Miller. I could tell the difference there. But Blake Hay on the bench, Darius Slayton, 26.2.
he looked good, didn't he?
He's their best
Man.
receiver.
I mean, I happily drafted him. I have him and Golden Tate. I knew that, one of those guys was going to at least get some sort of PPR value. but Golden Tate went out. Darius Slayton, I have him in our one of our dynasty leagues, so I was kind of just like, all right, I'm gonna. He looked good last year. We'll try him out this year, and he looked so good last night, man.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Slayton was like one of the most ridiculous like ADPs out there. Just I don't know why, but he certainly proved me wrong last night. I definitely offloaded all the shares I had because I just didn't think he was like as good as he was being drafted at. But he looked good. Malcolm Brown looked better than Cam Akers,
Yeah.
surprisingly, and then Alan Lazard. But I mean,
Wide receiver
Lazard.
too. So that was
Yeah,
actually
Lazard looked pretty good.
a late pickup too. I saw something on Twitter it was a quick reminder like, hey, you got someone that's listed as out, go throw them on the IR and pick someone up just in case. So I was able to throw Sanders out on the IR, and I picked up Lazard just in case exactly what happened did. And I mean, he looked good. Every pass can't go to Devontae Adams, even though like 75% of them seem to be able to. But
Even though it does.
they do. Sometimes they get tipped, I guess, and they go towards Lazard's way. But
Yeah, maybe if too bad you didn't pick up Benny Snell in that position. Maybe it would have been a little better for this week for you. But hey, big win for the Bears. Austin had a great week. I think he was the highest scoring loser. But he had Dak with 17, Josh Jacobs 33, Chris Carson 21, Hopkins 23, Lockett 13, and then he had Deshaun Jackson with 5, Waller with 7, Eckler with 9. Mostert on his bench, which would have probably made it a lot closer with 23 points. What are you guys thinking of Austin's team? I think he's got some solid players, but he's got a couple holes, I think, in the starting lineup as well.
I like his team, but a part of me just fears that this is going to be Austin's best week of the year.
Austin's
I
known for
think
scoring low.
there's no way it's not Jacob's best week of the year.
Most
Yeah.
likely. Unless, yeah.
I
I
think
don't know the schedule.
the 3 touchdowns for sure. I mean, it was Panthers defense, and they couldn't stop anything. I think that's gonna be the thing for Carolina all year, is just scoring a lot of points and having a lot of points scored against them. So their run defense looks the same as it did last year. Of if you have a running back, play him against them.
Oh, yeah.
Hopkins looked amazing. I was very surprised with how much they used Hopkins. I thought he couldn't get any more targets than he was already getting on the Texans. But Kyler was just hyper targeting him like he was the only receiver on the field.
He might be.
It was different types of targets too, because Hopkins usually like getting deeper targets from Watson, but he was getting like behind the line of scrimmage targets the other day. So it didn't make up for like a crazy fantasy day with like 13 catches or whatever it was. But I mean, he certainly looked like he was fitting in pretty well despite holding out of his contract all camp. So that was surprising for me too.
I didn't realize Austin does not have a third wide receiver. I mean,
B-Eds. That's why you draft B-Eds.
is that why?
I mean, Paris Campbell.
I like
looked,
Paris Campbell, but
he looked like the best receiver on the Colts for sure.
I definitely see him trading one of his running backs in the near future.
I mean, I like Jacobs. He's got a tough schedule coming up, so if he is good for the first couple weeks, and like he's probably legit. Chris Carson had 2 touchdowns through the air.
Carson looks so good.
Yeah, Seahawks are letting Russ cook, so
Yeah.
that could be pretty good for the Seahawks fantasy players. Deshaun Jackson, I think, was sneakily injured. I think he was a pretty high-owned DFS play last week, but only had 5 points, didn't play too much. Austin Eckler, that's a worry point for me. Only saw 1 target, did not see the goal line work, and the pace of play for the Chargers was just probably slower than I even expected. What are you guys doing with Austin Eckler?
I would get rid of him as fast as I could.
I'm surprised how much they ran him. They gave him 19 attempts, and didn't seem to throw him the ball very much. So it was almost opposite of what he used to do last year. So, I mean, it might have just been an off week. It's still week 1, so he looked on like Hard Knocks and everything as the clear number 1 running back, and I know they want to use him. And he's very talented, so we'll see where they go if they can kind of incorporate him more in the passing game and start using some of their other running backs, I guess, for more of the running work. But We'll just have to wait and see kind of what he does.
Yeah, I think what he did on the ground is like what he's going to do on the ground. It's just the lack of targets for him. And I don't know if that's a Tyrod issue, like he's just not going to throw to running backs, or like their offensive scheme is not designed correctly.
I think it's their scheme.
But I saw this on Twitter and I thought it was a good question, and I asked Austin the same thing, but I want to hear your responses. If you get a trade offer as an Eckler owner for Jonathan Taylor for Eckler right now, which side are you taking?
Taylor.
That's what I mean. I would do that too. I mean, I'm kind of trying to offload Eckler if I can, but I can see how Eckler next week can be back to what was expected.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Philip Rivers, and now Max got out of the picture, so it's just two running backs there. I just feel like he's going to get the volume, and he also has like the best offensive line in front of him. So
yeah, this Chargers team's still rebuilding, and I wouldn't be surprised if Herbert comes in at some point this season, and I don't know what the offense is going to look like when he gets in. So
Josh Allen.
I mean, that's the vibe I thought, but I mean, I think that's just what the Chargers want to do. They want to like run the ball and like win these low-scoring defensive games.
Oh, they're like the Steelers of this year, except they chose their starting quarterback to be Tyrod.
I mean, he was hype. They were hype on Tyrod last year. So
yeah, but I feel like I don't know. Let Tyrod cook, you know.
Do you?
I don't know.
I played him in cash and DFS, and it definitely not playing Cam definitely took a big chunk off my winnings for the day. But yeah, I mean, I think Campbell and Austin's bench is good. I think Mostert did pretty well. He had a long receiving touchdown earlier in the game. Zach Moss. Yeah, that's pretty much Mostert. Zach Moss got a lot of carries early, and they seemed kind of to go back to Singletary. I think just probably rookie first game jitters for Moss. I'm still excited for his season long potential, I guess.
Oh, he's gonna be the number one, like undisputed number one eventually.
I mean, he was given the opportunity and he did not capitalize on it, so that's the concern.
He still scored a touchdown. He was receiving, but
did he? Oh, well then, yeah. I think in like the end of the second half they put Singletary in more, and then the second half they did that. So I don't know, we'll see. But I think two good teams here with Blake and Austin. Game of the week right here. Mark 108.8, Eric 107.04. Mark, lead things off for us here.
Yeah, so I was really excited for Hayden Hurst coming in. And then I remember their first game was against Jamal Adams. And then I got really sad about Hayden Hurst. And I almost actually dropped him. You should have saved that for the Nick Chubb, because Nick Chubb is fucking trash. And I'm so disappointed. I want to just fight Kareem Hunt, kick him in the face so he gets a concussion, is out for a few weeks, because Chubb needs more touches. He can catch the ball. Let Chubb catch the ball, you know? Going forward, if Baker is going to keep this offense in a hole, I'm afraid that Chubb's going to lose a lot of value, because I feel like they're going to be playing from behind.
If I'm you, Mark, I'm just hoping that the Ravens defense is that good, and it just really threw Baker off that much that offense couldn't get anything going, and they can turn it around.
Baker looked worse than he did last year.
I mean, Chubb wasn't trash. He was 10 for 60, like 6 yards per carry. Yeah, he got 10 carries. That's like not what was expected, I think, probably until they signed Kareem Hunt earlier in the week, and then everyone was kind of like, oh no.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I thought they were going to let Hunt walk after this year.
That made more sense, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. Are they going to let Chubb walk? Like, whatever. But I expected Chubb to be more of like a 13 to 16 carries a game kind of guy. He had like no goal line opportunities. It's just, hopefully Baltimore's just that good.
I mean, for you, Jared Goff looked like super good in the beginning. I'm kind of surprised he only had 10 points.
Well, it's because Malcolm Brown fucking ran all over everyone.
Malcolm Brown.
Yeah, he didn't have to throw the ball.
Yeah. He had Chris McCaffrey 26.9, kind of probably saved you the win there. But I mean, I think it was like Eric needed 8 points or something like that to beat you with Jerry Jeudy.
4-1.
I mean, Jerry Jeudy, not a guy in college that was dropping passes. He dropped like 3 or 4 yesterday. Talk.
Bless
What's
him.
the emotions this first week, seeing your win slip away and then end up hanging on?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Jerry Judy was in the slot. And my ESPN stream kind of like got real pixelated, and I was freaking out because in the group message, as I was delayed streaming, all it said was Judy, and I was really nervous. But then he dropped it, so we won the game. We got some things to fix. We got to talk to our receiving core and get them more looks.
What are you thinking about your bench running backs and Akers, Gibson, Madison, and Boston Scott and Tony Pollard?
Boston Scott's dead to me. Tony Pollard is nothing more than a handcuff to my non-Zeke. And I was really, happy that Madison got the touches he got, and he was able to produce with it. Cam Akers is scaring me because he did not look good. And Malcolm Brown with the same offensive line looked really good.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was trying to tell myself oh, it'll take a couple weeks, and as the game went on, I was like, oh no, Cam Akers is not gonna take this over till week 12.
Yeah, he's gonna need an injury to get the volume work that he probably will need to produce fantasy relevant games.
I mean, a big issue is Mecole Hardman is the fourth wide receiver used in the Chiefs offense. Can you even hold on to him after last week?
Yeah, because I don't really trust Watkins, and I don't trust Tyreek Hill's hamstring. I mean, call me crazy, but I'm handcuffing the wide receiver.
They tried to get Hardman involved. How many drops did he end up having?
He only had one, right?
Was that the touchdown?
I didn't see Hardman out there much. That was Robinson dropping everything.
Oh, that was a Robinson.
Yeah, that was DeMarcus. Yeah, no.
It was... Yeah.
Hardman's basically a returner, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, maybe. Or Robinson might just get the can after dropping a bunch of balls. I feel like Mecole's a project.
I mean, what I read is that Mahomes and Robinson were same year drafted and worked together on the second team, so they just have a good connection. I mean, I don't know why in year 4 you're gonna force that still, but I guess that's just what it is.
I mean, your franchise quarterback, you pay $500 million.
Kansas City offense.
Give him a little cherry.
Kansas City offense just really interesting because, I mean, they're going to get yards, but they have so many weapons that you don't know which weapon's going to go off. It could be a Kelsey week. It could be a Tyreek week. It could be Sammy. I mean, Hardman's had weeks. It could be any of them at any moment. So
I really don't expect to play Hardman unless injuries befall the Chiefs. He's more just a stash kind of play.
Yeah, I mean, looking at your team, I like your starting lineup. I think you had floor games for Gallup, McLaurin, Nick Chubb, Hayden Hurst. Still got a win, so that's good. And Goff had a floor game. So McCaffrey, nice to have 26 points. This is his worst. But Gallup, I thought looked good. He had a long catch that probably shouldn't have been called back, which would have put him at 12 points.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's 5 points taken away.
I think Hurst. I mean, there's so much volume for Atlanta. I don't know. Hurst is.
He'll have his games.
I don't know. I think he should have been better than he did for sure.
I mean, I think Seattle fixed their tight end matchup issue, so I think that was a big worry for me week 1.
Yeah, and I think also you had George Kittle on Eric's team getting hurt in the first half, which probably saved you. So I think you ran pretty good last week, Mark.
Oh, I had a lot of luck on my side for week 1.
But to Eric's team, he has Patrick Mahomes scoring 20, and then his receiving core of Tyreek Hill, Metcalf, and Brown played well with 13, 17, and 13. But just the drops, I thought Judy would get over 10 for sure. I don't know. It's crazy that he just had so many drops.
He had 3 drops.
Most of his points came off that end of the first half.
It was a 30, 40-yard bomb.
The ball. Yeah.
Or dump
49ers D, not as good as expected. Marquise Brown didn't play the second half pretty much. It felt like he had 100 yards in the first half, and just they didn't need to chuck it downfield. So, I don't know. Eric with running backs Devin Singletary and Sony Michel. And honestly, his best running backs are probably Nyheim Hines and Josh Kelly.
Man, I want Josh Kelly.
You guys, what do you guys think of Eric's team? What are you doing if you've got these running backs going forward, where you've got a good tight end and good receivers that
He's
are probably
hitting up Austin.
He's what?
He's hitting up Austin, and they're going to trade
Yeah,
Do a
he
little
needs
Emmanuel
to.
Sanders for some knockoff running back.
Oh man, Sanders is good now. He's going to be the one for a couple weeks.
Yeah, he's gonna get the volume.
Got a touchdown last week. I think Eric's starting Naeem Hines for sure. He's got probably a floor of like 5 catches and a couple rushes every week.
He's got to drop Keyshawn, right? You don't hold Keyshawn.
I had to drop Keyshawn before the season. I mean, he was a good pick on draft day.
Oh yeah, but too much has happened.
Yeah. Fournette was not a buck. Bad reports with Vaughn. Did Vaughn even? I don't think Vaughn even did the punt returning as I said he was. He was probably not even active.
I don't think I was gonna say was he a healthy scratch?
He probably was not on the final roster. Mike Williams surprisingly played and looked. I think he was their best receiver other than Hunter Henry.
Yeah, he looked good. He was getting. They seemed to be trying to get the ball to him a lot, getting it down to him deep. He had some nice catches. He was getting laid out, but he was having some nice catches downfield. The thing with Eric's receivers is, I mean, between Hill, Metcalf, and Marquise Brown, those are kind of boomer bust receivers in my side at least. Especially, I mean, you get Seahawks. They typically run the ball a lot, so Metcalf might not get a lot of volume. They kind of unleashed Russ in that last game. Hopefully, they keep doing that, and I think he'll be probably league MVP if they keep doing that. But Marquise
Talk dirty to
Brown.
me.
Marquise Brown, I mean, the same thing that Baltimore runs the ball a lot. They can go up quick, and he's basically irrelevant then. They're not going to pass the ball. They're just going to pound it. Tyreek, same thing. So it's just a really interesting wide receiver situation, I feel like. He has Julian Edelman on the bench, who I don't see getting much more than 10 points ever in a week. The Patriots aren't going to throw the ball very much. So Mike Williams might end up being an option for him down the road.
I don't know how. I mean, they played Miami. I don't know how good their defense looked, but I don't assume most games are just going to be able to slow the clock and run the ball. Like that fails if you let up a score early on or 2 scores early on. You've got to throw.
I don't know if they're gonna be in a lot of scenarios where they're gonna have to throw, especially if you look at their division. I mean, who in their division plays at a fast pace or moves the ball well? I mean, the Jets don't move the ball well.
Seattle next week,
That's not
or Kansas City in week 4. I mean, they played them. It doesn't matter if they're out.
Oh yeah, I'm just
So that'll be the more of the test, I think, for what Edelman's is in a good situation. They've got some high scoring offenses coming up, but they have down the stretch. Oh no. Miami and Buffalo in the playoffs. So
yeah.
Cam
MVP.
Cam's got to stay healthy.
Cameron Russell for MVP.
Well, we can wrap up this game. Congratulations on the win, Mark. But we got the most exciting game of the week, in my opinion. I came in. It looked like going into Sunday night, I had Cooper Kupp, Higbee, and Boswell left. I was only down like maybe 20 points. I think it was close. Kupp had 6. Tyler Higbee had 5.5. And he had 7 from Boswell. He makes a field goal and misses an extra point. And I'm just tilting everything. And he somehow gets there, then has to take another extra point. And if he misses that extra point, I do not win. And I can't believe he made it. Funniest thing is I texted Eric and I was like, is Gostkowski washed or should I stick with Boswell? And he was like, I'd play Gostkowski.
Oof.
Oh,
and
God.
imagine.
Hall of Famer, though.
We wouldn't be doing this podcast today.
This would be a blowout. You would have lost by 40.
I would have lost by 10.
Yeah.
I mean, I would not have been recording a podcast today for sure.
How do you feel going up against, as a Saints fan, going against the Saints stack that's going on over here?
I mean, it is what it is. I saw it before the Saints game started, and I was like, oh, so Colin is more of a Saints homer than me. He's got Breeze, Kamara, Jared Cook, Will Lutz. I mean, that can work out, though. I feel like Kamara and Breeze is a okay stack to have because Breeze does throw touchdowns to Kamara, but
especially now with Michael Thomas out.
I mean, Jared Cook is going to eat with Michael Thomas out.
Oh yeah, he's throwing him the ball a lot.
They're going to keep throwing him the ball. He's a large target.
Jared Cook's good. If he was healthy last year, he would have been easily a top 5 tight end if he gets stay healthy the whole year.
Is he
They
older than
utilize him
Brees?
a lot. He's old. He can't be older than Breeze. Breeze is 42. um, yeah, I mean, Colin had Dalvin Cook kind of get a late touchdown while they were trailing. Kind of worried me. I don't know how David Johnson got 18.4 points.
Bill
His
O'Brien
wide
had to
receivers
prove
are looking a little
himself.
shaky.
Yeah, I mean, he had an injury to Devontae Parker in the second half. Allen Robinson is not the best receiver on the Bears.
He's got team issues right now.
And he's got a lot of issues. He's not. I mean, we can talk on that. I mean, you're not paying Allen Robinson. Like he's going to be wanting money like Keenan Allen got, and he got like 4 years, 80 million. Like there's no way Allen Robinson deserves that.
He's not going to get the money, and I think his stats from last year don't really like. I don't think anyone believes them, and I think that's the issue. And I feel like it's going to be an ongoing issue for him.
Yeah, I mean, he had 151 targets last year and 98 catches, and I'm not saying he was dropping a lot of balls because he's got Trubisky throwing them to him, but like,
Yeah,
I just don't think Robinson is like the type of guy they need in that offense to like make it better than it is. Like if they lose Robinson, like what changes? Nothing.
nothing. I don't know.
They just use Wims or Mims or Javon Wims, whatever.
Kevin White comes back.
Yeah, I just don't think that he's a big impact player for them. What about you, Blake?
I mean, I think Allen Robinson's talented, just like you guys are saying, though, not for the Chicago Bears. When Trubisky's the quarterback, I definitely don't think I'd trade Allen Robinson. I think they could probably trade him to some wide receiver needy team right now and try to get something. Yeah, I mean, OBJ might actually like lend himself like better to Trubisky in this situation, just running short routes.
He would probably try to fight Trubisky.
He would not. Like, he would veto that trade before it happened.
Oh,
Yeah.
he would probably retire.
That is not what he's looking for in a trade request.
So
I feel like Odell's probably got a ton of like dead cap and trade.
I don't
He's
know
not
what
gonna trade.
happened.
This will be the third team.
I mean, what happened at the end of the Bears game with the? I know DeAndre Swift dropped the touchdown and all, but what happened to Trubisky? Like, fourth quarter came and he's like, "Oh wait, I remember how to play football. Watch this. Okay, let's go down and score some touchdowns now."
He's
great.
comfortable playing the Bears.
I mean, he's good playing the Lions. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I meant.
he won me some money in a Survivor League last year, coming back against David Blau and the Lions. So Thanksgiving on my family will never forget.
But that's David Blau. Like
Blau.
Stafford,
I mean,
you would
I
think.
think more so it's just Trubisky. Like he's Blake Bortles. Like the end of the game is
He's
like, oh
not
shit.
even Blake Bortles.
I mean, he's Blake Bortles-esque and like I'm gonna come out of nowhere at the end of the game and bring this team back.
Yeah.
But like only 10% of the time. I'd say maybe he's just a line killer actually.
But I
How
mean,
do you
Yeah,
feel
Colin
about
had-
Joe Mixon?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Chargers. I didn't like Joe Mixon's matchup this week. A big trade I had was for Joe Mixon for Josh Jacobs. I don't like Josh Jacobs' schedule the next like 8 games. I don't know if Joe Mixon was the guy I should have traded for, but it was the only option I think I had to offload Jacobs. But I feel fine. He'll get. I mean, Burrow looked not good. Their O-line didn't look good, so it's not like I don't feel comfortable with him as my RB1. But we also have Jonathan Taylor, who I started last week and got 11.9 points. So I think we're okay at running back.
I don't like Mixon's schedule either. But are you going to play J.K. Dobbins over him? What do you do here?
I mean, I have J.K. Dobbins on the bench, 14.2 points, 2 touchdowns. Chase Edmonds, 12 points. I mean, as expected, Chase Edmonds, 12 points. Deontay Johnson led the Pittsburgh Steelers in
fumbles.
targets and fumbles. He had 1 punt return fumble, 10 targets. The second half was great for Deontay Johnson. Like, that's the Deontay Johnson I expected. Like, what about you, Mark? I know you were hating on him in the first half. But he can change
Listen,
as the game.
I had a lot of faith in him, especially through DraftKings Showdown. And after that fumble, some of us panic and get really angry and upset. Emotions are part of this game. And we quickly became James Washington truthers. And what does James Washington do? He scores a touchdown. So right now I'm in limbo of who I want to, associate myself with wide receiver wise for the Steelers.
Well, you've already made the decision. You're a James Washington guy now. I'm not letting you back on the Deontay Johnson train. But I mean, looking at my team, I have Thielen, Julio Jones, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs. I feel like that's
It's a good floor team.
the best receiving floor team I've had in a long time. I just need Jonathan Taylor to be an RB1, and then Mixon's my 2. Or we have Ronald Jones and James Robinson and J.K. Dobbins ready for it.
Didn't Trevor call your team, more dynasty forward?
Yeah, I mean, we got Julio Jones, Adam Thielen, definitely big dynasty guys. Stephon
Kupp.
Diggs, dynasty value definitely rose a lot this offseason. Yeah, I mean,
Gosh.
look at this bench. I mean, it's not like a crazy numbers, but it's a bunch of young guys that are producing, and was the goal. Anthony Miller, 15.6 points.
Yeah.
Dobbins, 2 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb looked like he could be the alpha receiver for the Cowboys.
Him and Gallup, baby.
I mean, I can see it. Ronald
Gallup
Jones
on
still
the
had 9
outside.
points in the worst matchup. So honestly, I'm not even against starting Ronald Jones against the Panthers this week.
I mean, if
I just don't know who I would bench.
You bench Joe Mixon.
He plays the
Browns
Browns.
on
Well,
Thursday night. Actually, maybe not. Thursday night defense. You know what they're like.
not good, right?
That would be correct,
Yeah. So
especially if they're the Raiders.
yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to bench Joe Mixon. So we'll see.
I don't think it is.
The only thing I'm concerned about is Higbee.
Did he not get volume?
He did. He got 5.5 points, and I don't really know why. I just really hate having Higbee and Cup.
Because they play the same position.
they run the
Hey,
same
pretty
routes, at least.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I just had good value on Higbee. I couldn't say no in the 14th round.
Cooper
Yeah.
Cup is Kelsey, and you can't change my mind.
I mean, if Kelsey returned punts, I guess he's Travis Kelsey.
Does Cooper Cup return punts?
Yeah, he does.
Still?
He did the other day.
I can't believe that the Colts defense only scored 6 points for you. I don't know what the heck
Hey.
happened there. That was, I think most people thought that was the biggest slam dunk, especially on DFS, of oh yeah, Colts defense, play it. And so many people got burned on that because the Jaguars came out ready to play. Gardner
Raise your
Minshew
hand.
went future Hall of Famer on their whole defense.
So
Keelan Cole's alive.
and Laviska and James Robinson was Fournette times 2.
I mean, Fournette came out and said he'd never had a real quarterback until Tom Brady, and I think Minshew took that personally and proved him wrong this weekend. So
Yeah, that was a good time.
No, Minshew's exciting. I didn't feel great about Colts D. I just knew it was a good matchup when there should be turnovers, but I don't think there was. And Minshew was one of the better NFL quarterbacks of last week statistically.
he looked good.
How many people do you think picked the Colts for their survivor pools?
It was 20%.
Yeah, I had 30% one of mine.
I picked
Yeah.
my mind.
I did. I mean, I figured it. I just avoided them because they were the popular pick, and I picked
Yep.
Steelers, which didn't look good early on, but it worked out.
Nah.
My survivor league went from I think it was 14,000 down to 6,000 after 1 week.
Jesus Christ.
So back-to-back champs are going for it. We're in good position. But yeah, I mean, unless you guys got anything else on these teams, we can kind of talk about the upcoming week.
Sure.
Do it.
So let's pull up the matchups for week 2. So it is me and Austin, Blake and Zaid, Mark and Trevor, the rematch from last year's championship game, Eric versus Jimmy, and then Eric and Dustin. I mean, pretty even across the board. Austin's got a must-win game against me. I'm not sure it's going to happen with Jacobs going against the best run D in the league. What are you guys' thoughts on looking over the schedule just at a glance? What are the big games that stand out to you guys?
Zayd's going to get pummeled.
By Blake's, by the
The
RBBB.
Factory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark and
Zayd's
Mark
got-
and Trevor are always fun, so that'll be a fun game.
Trevor's gonna get so
It's-
angry.
I think it's fun for some people.
It's fun for me. I don't know if it's fun for Trevor.
It's fun if you win, I guess.
I don't know. I feel like I still win when I lose against Trevor.
Yeah, I mean we got Derrick Henry, CMC facing off. He does have Russell Wilson as a QB, which is never going to feel good to go up against.
No, I mean he threw 4 touchdowns. Luckily, he's playing the best, secondary in the league. So we'll see
Does it
what
matter
happens.
though? The New England Patriots are the best secondary in the league.
I mean, name a better secondary.
I mean, they like I don't know about the McCourty brothers are like the best secondary with.
This will be the telling
Gilmore,
week for them.
Stephon Gilmore.
This will be the
What's that,
telling
Blake?
week.
Yeah.
This will be the telling week to kind of see if they still got it. They had a lot of guys opt out on the defense, but we'll see. I mean, the Patriots always seem to figure it out, honestly.
Yeah.
They can take a bunch of random no names off the street and still put together a solid team. So I'm sure they'll be fine. They'll come up with something, and I think that's going to be a really fast game. Especially if Seattle goes back to running the ball, it's going to fly by.
Yeah, I think they both got a preseason game in week 1, so it should be fun to watch.
Yeah, Mark. I think you're going to run that same lineup back as you did last week. I don't know if you have any bench options that are going to be helpful.
Besides the Chargers coming out, I got nothing really changing, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Chargers versus
Good Lord.
Kansas City.
Yeah, I don't really have depth on this team, which is never an option for me because I don't believe in
You've
it.
always got waivers every week.
I got waivers. Or it's a
Waivers
10-man
never-
league.
But we've got Eric losing Michael Thomas, who's probably not playing this week.
You mean Trevor?
Who'd I say?
Eric?
Yeah, he lost. Trevor lost Michael Thomas. Just rest him until he needs to come back. We don't.
Yeah. But he's got Crowder.
I mean, yeah, Crowder. I mean, he's gonna. It doesn't matter. He's gonna get. No one. They're not gonna put a focal point on like the behind the line of scrimmage receiver in Crowder. We got double tight end, Derrick Henry and Kelsey, and I feel like this is more so to prove a point for the hate that he got.
I mean, look at his bench. Who else is he going to play?
I mean, he can go on waivers.
I mean, yes, but this is
Mark
pre-waivers.
Ingram's.
You want to play Ingram after what Dobbins did last week?
I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, Dobbins got as many carries as Ingram, and he just got the goal line catches. I mean, touches. So
Isn't that what's most important?
it is, but I don't know if that's sticky week to week. I don't know if Ingram. I think Ingram got some goal line touches too.
I think against Houston, it's going to be just a bloodbath of running.
Marquise Brown this week. That's a lock.
Ravens are a lock every week. It doesn't matter. Except Ingram.
I mean, Carson Wentz against the Rams. I'd consider it.
Please consider it.
Blake highest score last week against the lowest score last week. You got to be nervous, but so.
The hardest thing with my team is just I have so many options right now. I don't know who to play.
Your whole bench is out.
I'm really going to be interested to see if Sanders is able to play. Because honestly, that he might be going in for Montgomery. I just don't trust David Montgomery.
I think that's the right move.
But I mean, Godwin against Carolina, he's going to torch him because he always does. And Carolina's defense was not good. So,
He doesn't have a quarterback that can torch him though.
He'll find a way to get the ball.
He'll be okay.
Brady
This is
can
not the
do it. As long as there's no one like even close, which there won't be in Carolina, like he can get them the ball. Galladay will hopefully be back against Green Bay. So Green Bay's secondary got a little lit up there at the end of the Vikings game.
After the game was out of reach, yes.
After Jair Alexander got like 3 interceptions.
So
yeah.
Miles Sanders is healthy. Do you play him? You saw what Zeke did.
I think so.
I don't know how you don't.
Yeah, I think
Unless he's
I'd have to.
known to be limited.
I mean, you saw how bad their run game was without Sanders.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
But if he's limited, do you trust that?
Yeah, I mean, I think they gave him the week off just because they didn't think they would lose to the Washington football team. I think that was kind of a strategy play, which it didn't work out in their favor. because Carson Wentz lost all of his talent there in the second half. But
I like the third team in like 900 plus
I don't
games
know.
to lose a 17-point lead.
we'll see. That's gonna be a decision. We'll see what comes out in the news this week with Miles Sanders practicing. So might get a first look at the Quaddy B keeper.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you don't play him if he's going to be playing at normal rates.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We got waivers on tonight. We've got some guys out there: Russell Gage, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Peyton Barber, who got all the goal line catches and is the RB1 in Washington. Adrian Peterson's out there. Benny Snell's out there.
Aaron Rodgers is still out there.
Jarek
fine.
McKinnon is
You
out
can say
there,
that.
who is the guy that benefits from George Kittle being out.
Jet
Is he
McKinnon.
playing tight end?
He's getting all the catches. I don't know. It'll be. I think we had a high week one waiver. Some big fab bids coming out. But glad to have football back. Do you guys have any notes to close on before we wrap things up?
Yeah. If Austin goes 0-2 to start the year, does he panic? And does he just start trading everyone?
I mean, Austin's gonna trade if he wins or loses this week. He's probably gonna trade before the weekend, or at least try.
Him and Zay gonna combine their teams to make two subpar teams.
I mean, if you
tell me
combine Zay and
Austin,
Austin's team, it's just Austin's team.
Yeah.
sources tell me Austin's already been sending out trade offers. So
Probably did that for the draft. So
Yeah, I mean, he'd had like 3 trades during the draft. So
he is who he is.
game of the week though, or I'm gonna say game of the week. It's got to be the rematch from the championship. Mark can try to take down Trevor and put him to 0-2.
Yeah, I hope he starts. I mean, I hope he has a great game. I wish him the best.
I mean, we got
I
a
really
nail in
want
the
to see him
coffin.
succeed.
We got a nail in the coffin game for Zayd. If he doesn't have a great week from his team this week, it's going to be a scary season, I think.
honestly, Jimmy and Colin's a pretty big game too for division, and
Yeah.
just they both got some pretty decent teams. So
I was about to ask, what are the division games we got?
that'll be a big game.
I mean, the interesting thing in the divisions is one division had 5 teams outscore all 5 teams in the other division.
Yeah, it looks a little
Hate to see it.
one-sided right
A little
now.
lopsided. Me, Blake, Austin, Jimmy, and Colin. I mean,
That's unfortunate. I mean,
that's a powerhouse.
you really hate to see it.
And Mark's just walking to the championship with scoring 108 points a week.
Yep.
But yeah, I'd say per JJ Zacharyson, Austin losing despite having the second highest scoring points or third highest scoring points is some regression from over the years, winning with 80 points against people week after week. But you hate to see it. Blake, any closing thoughts on your end?
We have a couple quick comments actually in the live stream. So, Mr. Daddy McDonough would like Mark to know that rugs go on the floor, not the wall.
Yeah.
Mr. Rustin Day would like to say, Game 7, baby!
Game 7. Nuggets.
That's all we got.
Yeah. What's Tots yelling about?
Who knows?
All right, I think that'll wrap it up. We're gonna jump on some Nuggets. Big Nuggets win coming in Game 7 against the Clippers, and hopefully the Heat are back in the game from last I watched. Thanks to Mark and Blake for jumping on. We'll be back next week recapping all the Weekend Dads action.
Let's go, Nuggets.
See you guys.